Hey everyone, welcome to episode 5 of the Extra Mile podcast. We're excited to have you guys here with us today and excited to have our guest. To my left, your right is Zach Foust.
What's up,
Well,
man?
I'm going to give a minute or two just kind of introduce himself, but this guy has been an awesome influence on me and has helped me actually get motivated for a lot of social media marketing that we've been doing. So,
Awesome.
Zach, take it away for a minute or two, man.
Got you. Yeah. So my name is Zachary Foust. I am the owner of Loft Realty. Loft Realty is a real estate team based out of Milford. Also dabbling in the international form of marketing consulting, which you'd kind of mentioned a little bit. And past military, past Department of Corrections, done a little bit of everything. Been an entrepreneur since I was 12 years old. So really just kind of following in that path, staying in that same bloodline.
It's kind of cool. So, one day out of nowhere, I just started seeing this guy on my timeline and on social media, and I'm like, "Who the hell is this Zach Foust guy?"
Probably something.
So I inboxed you. I was like, "Look, I think we should do lunch or coffee or something like that."
Yep,
and that's
Gray Fox.
exactly what happened.
Gray
We
Fox,
sat down, we started chatting, and we clicked instantly. And
We didn't talk about roofs or homes or
nothing.
anything.
Nope. So, but it's been cool because we're involved in some networking groups, and we discuss a lot of things as far as business goes, marketing and entrepreneurship in general. And of course, that's the main topics with the Extra Mile podcast. But one of the things that we love to talk about is the way that things are evolving, the way that things are advancing.
Sure.
So we're going to talk a little bit about what you've already mentioned and what we kind of mentioned a little bit already, which is that marketing aspect of the way that you've kind of taken over the market here locally. But before we get into that too much, I want you to kind of get into what is something that people maybe misunderstand about you.
Man, I have to pick off the list. I'd say the main thing I get is people think that I'm going to be different in person. I do a lot of social media marketing. I make lots of videos, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, you name it. I get a large amount of feedback after someone knows me for, 3-4 weeks, a month or so. When they can get a little bit more real, and I thought you were going to be different, and it's kind of crazy about how our generation is, that online we're able to kind of create this persona of ourselves, maybe the person that we want others to think we are, but then in all reality that's not who we are, or we just can't keep it up, and it just blows me away because that'd be exhausting, having to constantly think of, what should I say to make someone think this? And what should I do to make someone think I'm that? It's insane. So that's the main misunderstanding, I suppose, is that I'm different.
Well, what's really funny about that is because what you're mentioning is so commonplace that I think that, meeting you, right? That's what we're like, okay, we got to see if this guy is
it's the real deal.
Is this really him, or is this is this an act? And I think you're, you're a very confident person. You get on camera, and that a lot of people are so afraid to do what you're doing so that they think you're cocky. But knowing you,
true, yeah.
I know how
I'll get
humble you are.
douchebag, cocky, stuff like that.
I'm I know how humble this guy is. So not that I've ever had to defend you, but I'd be ready to if that conversation ever happened, because knowing you now, I'm this guy is really humble.
I appreciate it.
And has seen, and that's actually not even on my questions, has seen your fair share of failures along your way to success in what you're doing today.
Absolutely.
So that's actually not on the list, but let's talk about that a little bit. I don't think people talk too often enough about how the road to success is kind of littered with those failures and those potholes and things like that. So let's talk about that a little bit, how you kind of got into real estate and that road to it.
I give you a little roadmap. So raised by military parents, love you, mom and dad, not much financial education going up. Pretty much it was going to be go to college, do something, get a job, get your retirement, get your benefits. When I was 12, I started buying and selling paper footballs. It was the thing at our school. There was a guy who was making them. I couldn't make them, but I was like, I know people. So he would make them. I would flip them for custom orders. And then I got hit up by the principal, and they're like, stop that.
You can't do that.
And and I was like, what's wrong with it? And they're like, you're taking advantage of people. And so I already got it, people, already putting a sour taste in what I was trying to do. And then
you're not taking advantage. They wanted the
yeah,
football.
It was a school, I guess.
Themselves.
It was a private school, I guess, whatever. What verse is that in? You can't be an entrepreneur. Jesus was an entrepreneur. Look what he did with the fish.
Here we go.
No,
It'll be a separate podcast now.
but then I would plow people's houses when it snowed. I mowed lawns for a couple people. I was always trying to find ways to create.
Sure.
It wasn't necessarily about the money. It was more just creating an opportunity.
Right.
Joined the Army, again, raised by military parents. They never told me I had to join, but that was the influence I had my whole life.
Sure.
Was with them, National Guard, but it was a full-time contract for the full 6 years pretty much. Deployed, did all that, whole nine.
Thank you for your service, by the way.
Man, I appreciate it. I did half of nothing. I was just a nerd with a gun strapped to his back. Never got fired. So
well, they needed a nerd for something, or they wouldn't have had you there. So thanks.
25 Sierra. And from there, that's when really I kind of put the pin on being an adult started. My family wasn't rich, but they provided. And then I got into the military, and same deal. They provided. Then I got out of that, and then it was like, okay, cool. Like, I got to do stuff now.
Right.
And I didn't know what to do. I had my law enforcement background with the military, so I was like, well, maybe I should be a police officer. And then I had the IT background. I'm like, maybe I should work at Best Buy or something like that. Like, I don't know. And the first thing that came to mind actually when I had gotten back, I actually started a soccer league because I was like, I loved soccer, and it was either 40-year-old and up league, or you're in high school, or you play professionally. And none of those three were happening for me.
Yeah.
So I created a soccer league, and I wasn't really creating a business when I was doing it. I was just filling an opportunity I wanted filled. And that's business, finding a problem and then creating the solution. So that was for me. And then people heard about it and it was growing. I was like, I like this. This is fun. And I didn't have a single Saturday to myself for 2 years. It was 16 hours every single Saturday, setting up, tearing down, reffing every single game, breaking up fights, running the website, doing all that. But I loved it.
Yeah.
And after 2 years, made $85,000 and had 70 grand in debt, or that we had paid over the whole time. So $15,000 for 2 years of work. I was like, well, I loved it. I got to get better at it though. And then someone offered me a position to be a marketing officer for their clothing line. And I was like, dope. I love marketing. Let's do this. I had contacts in Italy, France, St. Louis, LA, Missouri, people that were, fabric was getting ordered, things were getting designed, patterns were being made, all this fun stuff, and I was learning so much about the business. I invested $15,000 on a credit card to get things rolling. Someone else matched, and then we were $5,000 short, and no one stepped up. And it was a group of 5 people, and I found out that only 2 of them were really fully involved. And so first business, I learned finances. That one I learned you got to have a full team, all with the same vision.
Yeah.
And then I had my same principal, who told me to stop flipping paper footballs, who's a realtor.
Okay.
And she hit me up and said, hey, you need to be a realtor. And at this point, I'm working in the prison system.
Right. Okay.
And I wasn't in the prison system. So we got slightly separate stories.
Yeah.
So
different sides of the door.
as I always tell, I wrote the Loft Realty business plan in prison. Like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was a guard. But it gets their attention. So
Yeah.
And then she's like, you need to be a realtor. And I was like, no. And then about 2 months later, I saw her at church. She's like, you need to be a realtor. And I'm like, no. And then finally she called me. She's like, hey, a spot opened up for tomorrow's class. You're going to be a realtor. Your name's already in the book. I'm like, I'm broke. I can't afford to be a realtor. I have nothing.
Right.
I'm working no days off because my wife's a teacher trying to come up, and unfortunately teachers do so much and get paid so little.
Paid so little, yeah. Now, was there any sour taste in your mouth from the previous?
Yes.
Yeah. So
tons of the whole drunk monkey on your back of, you couldn't make money. You couldn't get a team to have the vision behind you. You were told back then, it's wrong, all these different culminations of things. But then just part of me was like, look, I think I've learned enough that I can do it. I've failed enough times where, okay, I learned where and when to utilize my skills. Right. I learned that creating a solution from a problem can also create money. I learned that actually in the financial thing, I need to learn, yes, I have to have passion, but there also needs to be a means to growing it through proper finances. And then, having the right team around you that's all supported on the one vision. So all 3 of those businesses taught me, I call it paper football business, but regardless, all 3 of those ventures had taught me something. And then I put all of that into this now. And I mean, there are plenty of failures throughout this too. You don't learn without failure, but for me, the big step was, ignoring the finances and just saying, what do I want with my life? And is this the start to it? Is this a step to get there? And I remember my wife going and draining our bank account so I could take the class. Love you, baby girl. Because I was getting off shift in Wilmington from prison and I had to shoot down here, so I didn't even have time to get the money. Picked it up from her, went over there and started the class. And now we're here and we're growing. We got 12 people on our team now. Could be 25 by the end of summer with a lot of the interest we have. And we're growing. Love it. Having a great time every single day. And that's really all that matters is, enjoying
I think
it.
that's very clear too. Obviously you guys are having fun and it's not about that presentation.
We
to
get
the
a lot
public.
of hate for that too.
Well, listen, hey, look, you know what? There's you got to have, if you're
know
going to
what
work hard, you got to play hard and you got to have fun with it. And that's what I think, I think people think that that's an act too.
Oh,
And it's
100%,
not.
yeah.
I've met your team members. I think you've got a phenomenal group of people there at Loft. And so, for me, it's kind of fun. I mean, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but there's so much with your story that I want to pick at a little bit here because I'm like, the paper footballs, I'm like, man, there was a time, and I probably shared it. I think I shared this on Facebook not too long ago, but I got fired from a job and ended up painting pumpkins and selling them.
That's dope.
And we sold out everywhere we went. So it was like this
it.
crazy thing, but it was because I got fired. And then, so that failure, so for me, and
I didn't mention that. I got fired twice in that time frame too. I worked for a surround sound company because I was like tech.
Yeah.
And they're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
And then I worked for the state installing lights and sirens on state police vehicles. And they're like, and that's when I started the soccer business. And I was so engulfed in that. And they're like, you're always on your phone. I'm like, yeah, I got stuff going on. They're like, you need to leave. And I'm like, okay.
That's not going to work, buddy. That's not going to work. But the other thing, your wife going and draining the account and putting the money out for your dude, that spoke to me because I'll tell you, my story and my history, but people turned their backs on me. Like nobody believed in me. That my wife was the only one that did. She was all in. She saw potential in me that I never saw. So the way that your wife went all in for you that's dope. And I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to accomplish things as a team when you guys see that vision together versus trying to convince one another and that kind of thing. So that's awesome that you have that. You guys have a beautiful family with little Georgia there.
Little Georgia. Yeah, absolutely.
You're going to be smiling like a fool.
Yeah, exactly. So, one of the things that I wanted to talk about too is so now that you've kind of gone through those steps, right, and you've gotten into the entrepreneurship and you're seeing the success, what do you want to tell the people that, are considering that kind of stuff, but there's all these myths about business. There's all these common beliefs about going into business and things that discourage so many people.
Sure.
What is it that you learned along the way that was just completely untrue about business and entrepreneurship in general?
I'll say something that's untrue in the fact that it is true, and that 9 out of 10 businesses are going to fail. Mm-hmm. That is true, statistically proven. But what's untrue is that's taken as a negative connotation. Right. That means I only have to be better than 9 other people. Come on. I have to be 1 out of 10? Why do you even play in a fantasy football league of 15 people? Only one of 15 is going to win.
Right.
It's taken as some negative. I'm like, 1 out of 10?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen some of these weirdos that run businesses. I know 6 of them I can at least beat. I just got to work harder than the other 3. There's only 3 I got to work harder. And it's if you're passionate about something, do it. Someone asked me the other day, it was a different podcast, what's the one quality you'd say that you possess that's gotten you here? And that is simply the ability to put 2 feet in, and just go for it. Just doing. Action. So many people of learning, so many people of talking, so many people of brainstorming and, grabbing a drink and talking about these big, audacious dreams and goals, but no one does anything.
Yeah, you're right about that, man. And that's the thing. We've talked about this several times, just the two of us, but the conversations with so many people and now in that mentorship role, it's you've got a great idea. You've got a great plan. Now you're waiting for some miracle to make it happen. What are you talking about? And so the other thing about that, and one of the things that I always try to challenge is when people are like, oh, I need the money. What do you mean you need the money? You got to make the money. That's how a business works. And you're like, I need to get all this funding to start this business. I'm like, no, you don't. You have to go out and make money and reinvest it back into your business. These people feel like they cannot do it unless they have a $300,000 loan to start a business. And that, that scares me for them because I'm like, you're going into business in debt like that is scary enough.
And if it's a business that really requires that much upfront cost, if you got that
Find
good of
a
an
way,
idea,
yeah.
like somebody will back it
Oh, yeah,
if it's truly
100%.
like what you think it is.
Yep.
Like let the market decide for you. Like if you got 10 people you can talk to that have those funds and that availability, like I don't, but I can hook you up with 4 people to do.
Right.
You know, with a phone call. And if your idea really is what you think it is, you'll get your funding. Mm-hmm. So and so many people never even try. Some like it's insane.
Yeah, that's it though. You know, you talk about action, like action. Actually, I think. Oh yeah, look. All right, so that everybody on camera can't see this. We'll make sure it's in here. But action is the key to success. Simple comment, right? And a lot of planning. Get it? Totally want to have goal setting, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But listen, if you're
There's
not
the
willing to get up
foundation
and work, I know plenty of businesses that are successful today, and I look at the entrepreneur or the person at the top, and I'm like, wait, this guy's got no vision or no planning. But guess what? He got up every day and busted his ass. So action was enough in those rare situations.
It's like Bird Box. He's got a blindfold on, but he's running. He's
running
moving.
now. He's running. But you know, it's fun, like Forrest Gump.
I was just about to say, that's an exact representation of action with no planning.
No plan. I just felt like running. But you're right though. Like a lot of people have these great ideas and just don't put anything in place to implement it. So all right. So we talked about the myths a little bit. Now I want to talk about again what we kind of alluded to that we were going to discuss a little bit today, which is the marketing aspect. And I want to dive deep. And I know
100%.
that this question here probably needs more time than the others. But the question is, how has social media marketing helped you in your business?
It is helped by allowing people to know who I am, who I really am at scale. It's allowed me to take what would be a phone call, what would be a lunch, what would be a networking event, and putting it out there at the scale in which I want it to be.
You opened my eyes to this, by the way, because, you know, me, I'm very relational, right? I care about the relationship so much. Again, when we met, I reached out to you. I said, hey, let's sit down and talk.
Sure.
And that matters so much to me.
It's incredible.
But you're absolutely right. And I never looked at it that way, that the people on the other end of these cameras and screens, they get to know who we are, right? So like when they meet us in public, they can come up and talk to
Say
us pretty
hi.
comfortably. Yeah. Without some big wall of resistance or anything like that,
Anxiety.
or anxiety.
Or
right.
the salesperson wall.
Correct. Yeah. So, because, and the way that you explained that to me was like, think about the person that you follow. Like, if you meet them in public, you're not going to feel out of place. You're going to walk right up because you know them.
Yeah, we see Gary Vee walk in this room. We're getting up.
Yeah.
Screw this. Like, we're getting up and talking
and we got a lot to talk about.
Absolutely.
You know? So, but at the same time, it's you. So you're able to get that personal feeling with so many people because you are being transparent.
Yeah.
I think the reason this doesn't work for so many people is the reason why you said earlier is because they're putting up a front when they're in front of that camera and not being themselves.
Yeah.
And of course, then you're not going to be able. People pick up on that. They know if you're being genuine or not.
What's lack of authenticity? I mean, what you see me dressed in right now is probably what I'll dress in to a showing. I mean, I see a lot with realtors. They'll get up and not just here. I mean, just in research and looking and like learning from what is working and what's not working. You know, there are realtors who go and list $1 million properties that show up in polos, like because they've set that expectation.
Sure.
You know, because they're also going to see if you randomly run into your client at Starbucks, they're probably going to be wearing like a polo. And when you see them at the gym and they're leaving, they're heading out, they just got out of the shower, they're probably wearing a polo. You know, and then there's these other people that'll get on these videos and they're in their 6-piece suits and they're like, and speaking all crazy like they never talk. And then when they're cutting it up with their friends at like Ruby Tuesdays and he's sitting there in like a beater tank top and ripped jeans and you look at him and you're like, that's not you. Like it's just, they talk about, everyone understands brands like as a business need to be consistent. That's a well-known, everyone understands like consistent branding. You know, they may not even know what they're saying when they say it, but consistent branding, everyone understands that. But us as humans are brands.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
We're brands. If you walked in with an afro, that would be an inconsistent brand.
Yeah, sure.
Because we'd be like, that's not Bobby. How'd you get an afro? That's not yours.
Yeah.
Like if I
Or
wore
a tie-dye shirt.
we all have brands. And you need to push yourself, even just as a person. If you're not interested in making a business, you want to be
get more friends, be a better influencer, just have a better social life, just be consistent.
Sure.
Like if you're gonna be a dick all the time. Like
Right.
don't turn it on and off. Like,
Right. Yeah.
you know,
Absolutely. And that's actually really interesting based on a conversation I had with one of my customers today. But we'll save that for another conversation. But I think so. Somebody explained this to me a long time ago, and I can't remember who. But there's like this tree and root type of, tree and root idea, right? So the roots are your integrity, right? So that's everything that you believe about yourself and you know about yourself. And then what you actually push through that ground as the tree has to be a reflection of that, and that's authenticity. So that's integrity is you and your own, but authenticity is what you display to the public and you give to the other people.
Now, one thing I'll say, and not to interrupt, but one thing I will say about video is I don't think a lot of people intend to put up a front. I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
anxiety, nervousness.
It's anxiety, nervousness, and they can't break through it. I'm not good at video because I picked up a camera one day and was like, it just started spitting it out perfectly. Like, I've been doing video, like I had a little flip camera that I got from when I was like 11 for Christmas.
Sure.
Like I've loved video for years and have been comfortable. I had my own little comedy show. It wasn't funny. Comedy show when I was like 13 with my brother, just like doing random skit. Like I've enjoyed being on video. But like it's like anything. Like people kill me. Like I shot 2 videos and didn't get any leads. I'm bad at this. And I'm like, okay. So me and you walk into a basketball gym and we've never played basketball before. And I put up 2 shots. I brick both. And I start walking out saying, I must be bad at basketball. You're gonna look at me like, hey, dummy. Like you've put up 2 shots. How are you gonna say that?
Yep.
But you're gonna say the same
basketball
exact thing
doesn't
about
work.
this
basketball doesn't work.
Yeah, like this basketball must be faulty. Like I'm gonna go play tennis. Like no, and people do that. They'll jump from basketball to tennis to racquetball to golf, and like in the same terms of marketing, they'll go from podcast to video to going on marketing tours and doing interviews with people, and they'll never stick to one thing and learn it.
It's funny you say. I listened to Brian Tracy, I think it was, who told me like, try something at least 10 times before you turn away from it, because everything doesn't work for everybody.
No.
But at the same time, like it's easy for somebody to give up on something, like you just said, once they try it and it fails and it didn't work.
And here's the thing about
they run the opposite direction because they're afraid of that failure.
Yeah, and here's the thing about video. Because there are a lot of people like, I've tried it. It just doesn't work for me. If you're passionate about a subject, you're passionate about video. You may say, I'm not good in front of the camera. I'm good behind the camera. I don't know if that's the case. But, yeah, and that's fine. But, like, people would be like a different example, like if you were a foodie, I'm not comfortable in front of camera. But if I'm sitting across from you, across from a table, and I ask you food-related questions,
Sure.
and I just kept prying and prying, you're going to be able to spout out fact after fact, intriguing content all the time. A camera is just a conversation by yourself. That's all it is.
Yep.
It's the same words. We're all experts at talking because we've been doing it since as early as we could do it.
This goes back to kind of what I was talking about in the second question, right? Is like these myths, these self-limiting beliefs. It's the fear, right? Those people have a fear of what other people are going to say about what they said.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what
That's
develops
what I was gonna say.
that quick
Because
anxiety.
in a conversation, I immediately know your reaction to what I said. I know if it was stupid or not. I
Right.
know I can gauge and I can learn. They don't get that opportunity, and it scares them.
It scares them, and that's the point. Is like they feel like, so as a result of that fear, they feel like they have to now talk differently or say something differently,
Dress differently,
and
yeah.
then they're going to not be themselves on camera, and it's really not going to work. So you're right. I think people need to understand it. Like people need to see you. They need to see you. Right. And all of you, like transparency, be you when you're on the couch with your family, the same you that you are when you go out and and that should be the same thing regardless of a camera.
Yeah.
Like, why are you giving, your family something different than you're giving your neighbor at the end of the street? Like, why is that the case?
That's
be
huge.
authentic the whole way through.
That's huge.
So no, that's a big thing, and you're right though, man, because there's a lot of people that have something that needs to be heard, whether it be the foodie on the other side of the table talking about the restaurant you just asked about, or, you know, somebody about a different topic, like you have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
Like get it out there so people can hear it, man, because
Yeah.
you know, I think conversation, first of all, it's going to, if we have enough conversation, we can fix a lot of the problems that we have in the world. Again, we're not going to talk about politics today or any of those things. Like we're breaking all the rules today, but I'm just saying it starts with conversation. And I think that, you know, if more people were willing to have those conversations, it could be beneficial. So, so speaking of like, you know, that transparency and that authenticity, let's give the people on the other end of the camera some of that right now.
Sure.
What is something that makes you truly feel inspired or just like your best self? Like what makes you feel the absolute best?
Growth. Growth is my daily goal. One of the first podcasts I ever turned on to and started listening to him speak was Tony Robbins. And he said the 2 secrets to happiness are growing and giving. And that stuck with me. And I started really doing a little bit of self-development when I was about 23. That's when I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I'd been fired twice. I'm working in a prison system. I had no clue what I want to do. I hate my life because I have to work 7 days a week with an hour traverse back and forth. Like, it was terrible. And so I started the path of self-development. Like, okay, I'm going to allow life to tell me where I need to go. And he had said that. I'm like, that's incredible because I haven't grown in like 5 years. That's maybe why I hate my life. And I'm not giving anything because, heck, I'm not putting anything into myself. So how am I supposed to give? So growing, not even finance. Like finances, of course, they go up. You get that little jolt, like, yeah, I'm doing a good job. But, you know, growing people. I had someone who interviewed for our team the other day that's a licensed agent, been a licensed agent for a year now. And I found out she only got her license by seeing what we were doing and was like, you know what, I could do that. You know, growing a community, TikTok, I don't make a dime off that. But, like, that's awesome to see a community growing. I'm obsessed with growth and growing a marriage, growing myself as a person, growing my habits. That's it right there. That's like the main, and you can plug and play that in a lot of different facets of life. But growth is like the main thing for me.
It's so huge, man. And
Yeah.
like, it's so, I'm sitting here, I'm just like receiving, but
Yeah.
man, growth, I tell you, the more you grow, right? The more you realize how much more you can grow.
Growth is a drug.
Like, yeah.
Growth is a drug, and a drug I'm happily addicted to. Like, growth is like, I have an addictive personality. I know I do.
Yeah.
And that is my addiction right there. Just growth.
So it's funny you say that too, because and we'll get into that in a second. But the growth part of it, right, for me has been really cool because, like you said, growing your team. Well, as you know, I have a lot of family on my team here, so watching those people grow has been so freaking cool. Like,
Especially
even,
because you know them so well.
right? And like even my older brother, right? So he should really be watching me grow. But like we have both, right? But seeing him and like seeing my brother-in-law and seeing my cousin, and then like, you know, that impact from what we've all been able to work together to build has been so huge. So we're watching something grow and we're all growing along with it. But that growth is so cool, man. So, and I'll tell you what, right? You're excited to watch that growth, but the people that, I'm knocking my mic all over the place. The people that are watching what you're doing and your growth, whether it be on social media or your team, it's awesome to watch too, man.
I appreciate
So let's
that.
talk about that though. Your
Sure.
growth on TikTok, man. This has been freaking cool, dude. This is cool to watch. So like, you know, obviously I jumped on the TikTok bandwagon and everybody's like, you know, what are you doing? That's for 15-year-old girls, the common myth, right? Like, first of all, give them something first. The people that are giving me a hard time about, you know, hanging out with 15-year-old girls on TikTok.
Sure.
My daughter's a 15-year-old girl, by the way. She got me there. No.
So TikTok, common belief, is you know, very young for middle schoolers, elementary, you know, all that. It really was TikTok's fault. TikTok bought Musical.ly, another app. TikTok.
So it's not musically evolved. It was TikTok acquired it. Okay.
TikTok acquired Musical.ly. When it did, it grew very quickly in the other parts of the world. And it seemed as though as they were coming to America, they really did not know how to market it. And what they did was they posted these, just to be frank, slutty-looking girls dancing as their ads. And
Which works every time.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it depends on what you're selling, I guess. But it turned a lot of older people to like, why would I download that? Like, that seems like an argument waiting to happen. So why would I get that? And then they
they just kept pushing it, and it was just that's why I didn't get TikTok as early, because that's what I thought. And so they canceled that whole campaign. I think it was around probably end of March. You stopped seeing it. I got on in early April. My buddy Rob had told me to get on, Rob Vogel. He had told me to get on about in February, but I still had that negative connotation.
Gosh.
He had told me to get on to it because he knew I loved social media. And he's like,
See, I would have thought you would have made the
grow.
recommendation to him. And, knowing what I
push
now
him
know.
now to post more.
Yeah.
But he definitely knew that I would be excited by a new program.
Yeah.
And so when I got on, I had no clue what was going on. Immediately, I started realizing, I'm like, there's actually a lot of older people on here creating. In fact, most of the creators are older. And I started pushing out stuff. I started talking military, prison system, like just stories. I couldn't dance. I couldn't sing. I don't know I didn't know what high schoolers even laugh at these days, so I couldn't make memes or anything like that. Like, I didn't have any talents. So I was just like, I'm just going to do what I do in real estate. I'm just going to talk. I'm just going to do what I do like in my Instagram story. I'm just going to talk. And then I knew it was interesting to me because I got to, people who followed me on Instagram have seen me for a while. So I got a whole new group of people that was growing each day where I was like, these people have no clue who I am. I can, tell them stories. I can tell them about my life, my memories, my experiences. And it just started taking off. And I think I got somewhere around 400,000 followers now I checked over 86 million total video views, which is just insane. And that community, I mean, for one, going back to your initial, the average demographic is anywhere between 22 and 32 years old. It is a predominantly female app, but every single app that started was a young female app.
Right.
Instagram started as a young female app. Twitter started as a young female app. Facebook started as a young female app. Or Instagram, I forgot if I missed one. But Facebook, Instagram, Twitter all started that way. Snapchat started that way.
And they all had their own common myths about them,
Yeah,
Facebook,
absolutely.
college kids.
And
now,
then,
what about, and just real quick, I don't mean to interrupt,
sure.
creators versus consumers on TikTok?
Oh, it's an insane amount. There are so many consumers.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew the percentage or not, but
don't,
I knew it was very high.
Yeah, but the consumers, there are so many people that have TikTok that do not do a daggone thing.
Right, and so they're just watching.
They're just watching.
I mean, and that's most of what's
that's
out
how
there.
creators grow. That's how creators grow, because everyone, going back to the fear, the anxiety, they don't know what to post. I didn't know what to post. Scroll to the bottom of my TikTok, please. Zachary Loft. Scroll to the bottom. It's not pretty. I haven't deleted anything. Like, I don't delete videos. Like, if they just do obnoxiously terrible, I'll push them off, saying, okay, why did TikTok, like, some reason that didn't get pushed? Like, I know the algorithm enough now where, like, okay, that didn't get pushed. Let me take that down, see what happened, and try again. But like, people are scared to post. So you have so many consumers with very little creators. That ratio works out to, you're going to get a lot more exposure. Like, if you post on YouTube right now, you're going to get 2 views, and they're probably the 2 of you watching it to make sure your hair looked okay. Like, you're not going to get organically pushed. TikTok's algorithm is built so that anybody can have a viral video. You can have 1 follower or 1 million followers. I had plenty of videos that flop. Plenty. My flop level is a little different now because I have followers that are at least watching.
Sure.
But on the popular page, there are several videos that never make it because they're not good enough.
Yep.
Because it puts it through a system where, like, okay, it's going to get pushed to 50 people. If out of those 50 people, X amount of people like it, comment, share it, engage with it, follow you from it, it's going to get pushed to 500. And then from 500 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10,000, 10,000, 100, and so on and so forth, until you hit some kind of cap of, okay, you haven't reached what we need you to reach to hit the next level of people.
So it's funny because you're right. Like, and back to your basketball comment earlier, right, about the basketball not working if you shoot and miss a couple of times.
Yeah.
I may have been that guy, but by pure luck, I had a video take off, right? And so now that I've had that video take off, I'm like, I'm all in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
now you're like, I want to do it again.
Like, I'm all in, but I don't know if it had never gotten any attention, and I'd have been really discouraged because I put my, some hard work into those videos. And so, I had that video take off, and so now they've got a TikToker for life. I don't know if we're called TikTokers or not. I don't know, but I've just dubbed that a phrase if it's not already one. But
I think I actually just recently got sponsored. Now I have a campaign. I actually have a TikTok agent. I don't put that out for you.
Wow.
I actually have an agent that takes
so
my
dope.
stuff and puts them on different platforms.
That's awesome, man.
I get paid a certain amount off their views, and
I still have
that's
so
dope.
much to learn about this stuff. Like,
I just got hit up, and they're like, "Do you want an agent?" I'm like, "Maybe. I don't know. Do I have to pay you?" Like, only if it gets popular and we split the revenue. I'm like, "Okay."
Like, and it's working. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, 50%
No problem
of
with that.
something's
They
better
got me
than
on
100% of
The
nothing.
one that got me on a big meme page, the one where I was talking about having a heart attack when I was like 23.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was early on in TikTok. It was one of the first things that really put me out there, and he got me on all these different platforms, like
No
with
way.
5 million followers and 10 million followers. And
Well, I
people
know
were-
that you've been on our local news about your TikTok following, but
I got on the international news one time
what about
too.
what about business from TikTok now? You've gotten leads or contracts from it?
So in my business, I can work with people in Delaware, real estate, but I'm able to give referrals. I'm in a system with the Tom Ferry Network where I can give referrals out to almost the entire planet. I've helped someone buy a home in Australia. I've helped someone buy a home in Spain, El Paso, Texas, Ontario, Canada.
Now through TikTok, you're saying?
Correct.
Oh, wow.
People have hit me up because they know. Now, here's one of the biggest things that I hate is people walk into anything and they're like, "What's the ROI?" And that's a great question for things that have to do with marketing and lead generation. People talk about branding, marketing, and advertising like they're the same thing. They are not. Mm-hmm. There's branding, there's marketing, and there's advertising. Branding is how people feel, think about, and talk about you, your brand, your name. Marketing is getting that name out to as many people that you want to see it as possible, that your demographic. And then advertising is taking that market that has now seen it and converting them into a sale.
Sure.
ROI is about advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Branding is about getting out to as many people or creating your name, creating what you want to create, and then marketing it out to as many people as you can. Mm-hmm. So there is no ROI on branding and marketing. Mm-hmm. It's just getting out to as many people
Correct.
as you can.
Yeah, I mean, the same as like a TV commercial or a billboard. I mean, there's no way to track how many people, you know what I mean, is going to come back and buy from you right off of that. But you're going to get the name familiarity. You're going to get the brand recognition.
For perfect example, as a community, I started a texting platform because as I'm building my marketing business internationally, I'm not even really marketing it in Delaware. As I'm building that and putting out videos to how to market their business, I literally just put out a video and said, "Hey, I got a new number if you want to text it and be a part of my group chat." And it's like an app called Superphone, and like that, I had 1,200 people in it, just like. That would have taken me years without a community.
Right.
Like
yeah,
brand is everything. Once you have a brand, Nike could put out wine tomorrow and they're going to sell 1 million.
Right.
Wine.
Well, the other thing is too, like tomorrow, and not saying you guys are going to do that, but you could
Probably
sell Loft Realty.
Oh, no, definitely
yeah,
not
exactly.
that.
See, there you go. But my point is like people are still going to follow Zachary Foust. You know what I mean? Like you still have that community, you still have that following. So if tomorrow you became something else, right, and went a different direction, you still have left an impression of integrity and like all these different things that are qualities in doing business and having relationships, that people are going to follow you anyway. I've got people right now that I do business with that have now, I'm pretty sure I've gotten like 4 business cards of theirs over the last like 7 or 8 years, and they've done something different every couple of years. But you know what? I follow them wherever they go because every time I've done business with them in that capacity, they've taken great care of me.
People get roofs from me because you gave them a great painted pumpkin back in the day.
That's right, exactly, man. But that pumpkin was very well roofed.
It was dope. It was best stem in the game. Best stem carving in the game.
All right, so a couple of questions. I know we're gonna be conscious of time today, but if you could go back and talk to your younger self, right before you got your very first job, what would you go back and tell that Zach now? Like if you could whisper in his ear.
Leave this recruiting office right now. That's exactly what I'd say. Leave this recruiting office right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny too because the story times, a lot of them are military based. So I have a lot of memories, experiences, stories.
Sure, which is great. But you expressed entrepreneurship so early that I think if you had words of encouragement, then you'd have done something great much sooner.
And I knew I enjoyed that. I didn't have any mentor in my life that said, "Hey, here's how you can convert that enjoyment into a lifestyle." Like how you can convert, okay, you enjoy doing this to now you can make money off it. Now it's kind of the sexy thing to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah,
like 12-year-olds are playing video games now knowing they could be a professional gamer.
That is tough.
No one knew that when I was 12.
Yeah.
When I was playing FIFA and knocking fools out, no one told me I could get paid for that one day.
It is so bizarre to see the things you can monetize these days. And it's definitely unorthodox.
Yeah, and there were a few people that were even doing it at that point. Like Gary Vee had Wine Library. I wish I'd tuned in 2002 to one of his, and I'd be like, man, this guy just loves wine and he's making money. Like I could do something, make a Power Rangers blog, like something. Good Lord. Yeah. But I would say to anybody who is single, who is living with their parents, stay single,
stay living with your parents and figure out what you enjoy and try to monetize it while there's no fallback, or while you have everything to fall back on. Like, you're literally falling back against a wall.
Right,
Your back's
yeah.
against the wall. You have nothing
To lose, yeah,
except
like-
the beat in your chest. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, you're not relying. No one's relying on you for income. And if they are, like, there's ways to make it happen. You have so many hours in a day, going back to social media, that you scroll. That you're looking at other people's lives.
That's right.
You're having BS conversations, water cooler talk. Like, take all those hours. Really, I remember one day I actually told someone, I said, I want you to like write down every 5-minute increment in your day, and then really realize what you're doing.
Yeah, I use a time use matrix that does that, and I've done some things since then to help me make sure I don't
It
go
hurts.
down the rat hole.
It hurts when you look at it too, because
Yeah.
I've done it myself too. I'm like, oh my god.
I use so from 4-Hour Work Week, there's that recommendation to use rescue time.
Gotcha.
So on my desktop, I have that. It tells me like at the end of the week what I used
Oh, shoot, on the computer.
on my computer, like on my browser, productive time versus non-productive time and things like that. But you're right, because
Yeah.
it's important, right? Like that's the one thing that keeps us all on the level playing field is we all get 24 hours every single day, right? It doesn't matter how rich or how many TikTok followers we have, we get 24 hours.
Yep.
So it's like it's up to you what you do with that 24 hours, and it's what you do with those 24 hours that makes us all different.
Yeah.
You know, it keeps us on a level playing field and keeps us all the same to have those 24 hours, but it's what we do that makes us all different.
And yeah, everyone's like, well, I got a 9 to 5, so I can't do it. Like, I need my 9 to
Bullshit.
5. Like, okay, well, how long are you sleeping? Like, what are you doing after the 9 to 5?
Correct.
Are you hitting the bar on Friday nights? Why can't you learn more about your craft? Like, there's always an opportunity. I know mine was when I was in prison. There was no access to Zillow or Realtor.com, but for some reason, there was this weird one called Redfin that was available, and I would study the real estate market. So when I was in between counts, or because I did night shift and they were sleeping, I would just study the market. What's the average price per square foot in this neighborhood? Like, why is this one selling and that one's not selling? You know, learning that kind of stuff, you know?
Yeah. So it's interesting because I like obviously through knowing you, I know that you have like a love and an interest to serve and like help people, right? And like this real estate game for you is your way of doing that. But like you just said, marketing, right? You're still serving people. So your overall thing is like, I want to help.
Absolutely.
Going back to what you were talking about growth, right? You were saying growing and giving, right? And you even said it's not so much about my finances growing, but when your finances grow, you can give and contribute in so
Absolutely.
much
Yeah.
bigger scale, to so much bigger scale,
Absolutely.
and to more people.
And more impactfully sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So,
Don't
all
rush.
right.
I got 10 minutes. You're
okay.
good.
Well, no, I was trying to get to so the name of the podcast is the Extra Mile Podcast, and the reason for that is I basically a lot of things in my life I've gone the extra mile on, and it's left long impact on my life, like really long lasting impact on my life. Is there a time, or maybe with a client, that you went the extra mile that really had an impact or a longer lasting impact on your life? Like above and beyond, gone the extra mile with them?
Yeah, there's a few that come to mind, especially with clients. I mean, I've personally cut down a tree with my mom when we had no license or permit to do so, because our home wasn't going to close if it didn't come down. Literally just got my mom and say, hey, you got a chainsaw? I mean, it wasn't this huge oak. I said, hey, you got a chainsaw? I said, hey, look, I know you're off today. Meet me here. I mean, I've been on the roof. Rob, when we closed on his house, we were on the roof 2 days before closing because you had to have paint chipped and repainted. We were up on the roof painting. But one thing I'll say, and more for the team, is we were trying to be a satellite brokerage of our past brokerage since May, to be our own office that could be public, where we could have people walk in. Just loft team with this brokerage and Myers Realty. And I'd let him know, like our broker GR, he was like, yeah, absolutely, do this. Awesome. And he's super supportive, super open-minded, super growth mindset. Not skeptic, or not the scarcity mindset of, oh, he's going to take bit, like none of that. And we got denied in May. We got denied in June. They took off in July. Then they denied us again in August and September, all for different reasons. And every single time a reason they could have told me the last time too.
Right, exactly.
Just, always something new. And by October, I was like, or by the end of September, they said, oh, shoot, you can't have a satellite office with your name involved in it. Oh, by the way, you can't have the word team in your name either. You saw the word team on my first application, and you saw the picture I was proposing for the outside, which is strictly right to code, right out of the code. And that's the thing, like, oh, he's always pushing the boundary, playing in the black area when he should be in the white area. I'm like, no, I
I dance in the gray area if there's no rule. Don't worry about that. But if there's a rule, we are 150% on the right side. Like, and I was 100% to code, and they're like, oh, but we have a new code coming out. I'm like, where is it? Like, oh, it's not public yet. I'm like, then how am I supposed to?
Right, yeah, exactly.
And so every time they would say that, and we got hit in September with you can't have the word team, and if it's a satellite brokerage, you have to just 100% be that other brokerage. So we would just have to call ourselves Myers Realty. And I was like, everything we've built, though, has been about Loft Team. And I'm like, okay, so not only would we not be Loft Team, we wouldn't even have, we'd just be Loft,
yeah.
which Ann Taylor does pretty well with that already. So, so no copyright infringement, I'm sorry. And so the original business plan had said Loft Realty. And I was told we weren't allowed to have that. You just can't have the word real estate realty or homes if you're not a brokerage, which I got. I was like, okay, you can't pretend to be a brokerage. And so I broke out that old business plan. I was like, well, what if we just name ourselves Loft Realty and become a brokerage? There's nothing that they can say rule-wise, because anything they say rule-wise to us, they would also now have to apply to themselves. Because the brokers make the rules 9 times out of 10, and some civilians and stuff like that. So I was like, okay. So we went the extra mile and did a lot financially, time-wise, and put in the application. And it was funny, a couple of their faces in there when the application changed from satellite office to we're going to be a brokerage now, just kind of knowing there was nothing they could say other than yes. So it was kind of funny watching, like, there was 2 of them that were brokers, and I won't put names, but it was just kind of funny watching their face.
So that satisfaction, you know, it's funny because obviously we have so many people out there like just wishing against us sometimes.
Always.
And it's like, it's so bizarre, but you know, obviously we're gaining
we're
gaining our true satisfaction off of like what we're actually trying to do, actually trying to do to help our clients and the people in our community. But man, when you got somebody betting against you and you win, like there's satisfaction in that. And you should I freaking congratulate you on that, man, to have that moment of satisfaction in that specific.
Yeah, and it was a moment because then you walked out of the office. You know,
now back to the action plan and the business plan.
I'm a 5-minute man, as I say. 5 minutes of extreme emotion. Anything that's above 65% or below 45%, take 5 minutes, enjoy it, or be sad, be mad, or be exuberant, be happy, be jubilant. But then back to work.
What's really interesting about everything you just said is like, first of all, if we're not challenging traditions in our business, we're going to lose, right? So for you to come in, and even if you were dancing in the gray area, well then freaking bravo, bro, because like that's where things are going to happen. If you tell me that we're doing something simply because we've always done it that way, then I'm leaving. Like I'm out. I'm afraid of what's going to be in your future because it's not me. Like I'm constantly looking at my business and what I can do to change it and do better, something that was never done before. Like that's what I'm looking to do versus doing something just because it's always been done. I think it's one of the scariest phrases in business in general is we've always done it this way. So so for you to like come in and challenge the traditions, I think that's one of the things besides the social media marketing that you've done extremely well to help position you and your team. So bravo for that. The other side of that though is like you've got these other organizations that are juggernauts that are paying close attention to the ever-changing real estate world, the ever-changing consumer, the ever-changing communities. And you've got these Zillows and your different mortgage lenders that now can come in. And if these other smaller guys aren't doing what Loft is, they're going to freaking lose. And you guys are going to be the ones standing alone because they're not evolving and they're not changing. So, I mean, that applies to any business, every business, right? Because we have that same thing with our business, and every other industry is going to have it as well.
Yeah. And
that evolution has to happen.
Yeah. And with business overall, social media is a great place to do it. I mean, I'm not a smart guy. I'm not a handsome dude. I'm like just the average dude.
Good hair.
I appreciate it, man. I pride myself on my hair, man. Blow dry every morning, but me too. But like, just going for like, I just love learning. Like, I'm going to San Diego to speak on Facebook retargeting ads. I'm going down to Fort Lauderdale to possibly do some work down there, loft wise. TikTok, my TikToks are being used specifically at a real estate conference in, I think it's going to be in New York, where they're going to say, hey, realtors, y'all need to get on TikTok. Here's this guy. Here's why. So it's kind of cool, like, seeing that. But then I see it, and, like, these people contact me, and I'm like Tom Ferry, like, his main marketing guy is named Jason Pantana. He DM'd me this morning. I'm like, why is this man DMing me?
Right. Yeah,
why is this man wasting his time talking to me?
Yeah.
But, like, and we had a cool conversation. Hopefully, like, in 6-7 months, I can talk about it more. But, like, it's just weird because I don't feel like I have any esoteric qualities.
Right.
I don't feel like I have anything about me that is like, man. Because if I was born 6'8", I would hopefully be playing basketball somewhere. If I was born fast, I would hopefully be playing soccer. Like, I wasn't born with anything,
Right.
other than, honestly, a bunch of average stuff that left me leading, like, how can I grow?
And you're, like you said earlier, your willingness to grow, your not only your willingness, your complete, like, infatuation with wanting that growth and that constant learning, right?
And
because
that's the
it's
difference.
not something that you didn't just go on Facebook and just know how to, effectively market your
Jeff
business.
Bezos still writes his own business plans every year.
Yeah.
That man has no business having to write his own daggone business plan.
Yeah.
But he does.
Yeah.
Like, he is obsessed with growth.
Yep.
The man was just selling books. Now he
I
owns
know.
everything.
I know. It's so bizarre. That story
the
is
owner
great.
of Netflix. People
Same.
forget you got Netflix as a DVD in your mail. You got your DVD in the mail.
Yep. And they'd sit there and not even get watched.
And
then I'd have to
they
send them back.
approach Blockbuster like, hey, look, we want to do this and we want to do this streaming service thing. And Blockbuster's like, nah, that's stupid, and didn't take it. And now look at them. Yeah, they turned out a menial investment. It was like a couple million. Like, it wasn't even insane. Like a couple million, and it was like early 2000s. Like, look, we're gonna be putting these, we're gonna be sending people the DVDs, and here's our future. We wanna take all these great TV shows and movies, and we wanna put them on a digital platform.
Now,
and
what's so
Blockbuster's
cool-
like, that's crazy. Get out of our office. Like,
What's so cool about that is you talk about the mindset of abundance over the mindset of scarcity, and like
Yeah.
for them to approach what was a competitor, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's a direct competitor at that
let's-
time. Hey, let's work together,
Yeah.
and they're like, no,
They
that's
said
dumb.
they
Yeah.
said buy us. We'll give
Right.
you our company.
Isn't that crazy?
We will give you Netflix. Like, you can use the name. We just need funding.
Yeah.
And they were said, nah, get out of here.
So it's funny. I want to go back to what you said about the guy from Tom Ferry's.
Yeah, Jason Pantana.
Yeah, so him reaching out to you, and you're like, "Why is this guy like? I'm not like.
I met
like,
him
why
in
is he
LA.
even reaching out to me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's the part I don't think. I think people need to, and not to criticize you at all, because I
No,
think
please.
you do plenty of it. But I think people need to see that more from like, and then maybe it's their fault, but I think they need to see that from you, man, because like you are so freaking humble. Like, you've got a lot to contribute. But that comment right there just kind of wrapped it all up for me. Is like, this guy is not ahead of himself. Like, he's right. Like, you appreciate the compliment of him reaching out to you, but like, why me? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that to me is an example of how humble you actually are. And I think like people, if they're not seeing enough of that, like, they should, man. They should.
So good. If I ever get ahead of myself, I just look at my teeth and I'm like, oh man, I suck. Yeah, that's my easy, man. I just smile in the mirror. I'm like, oh man, you're ugly. It's all
Nah,
good.
bro, nah.
I'll get these fixed one day, but right now they're a good ego placer.
I wish my hairline did that for me, but
And that's the problem. I love to
beautiful
laugh and I love to
bald-headed
smile,
bastard.
and now I see myself in the mirror like, oh man, people are seeing me looking like this.
I look in the mirror and I say, "You beautiful bald-headed bastard." And so that doesn't work for me. Other things do, but that doesn't work for me. No, dude. Like, I just want to say that, like, I think like you are really, really much more humble than I think a lot of people think you are. And maybe that's their own fault. Maybe that was just a formed opinion. Maybe they saw the hair and they're like,
I
this
think-
cocky, arrogant.
Anyone who
good
does hair like that has to be full of himself.
Yeah.
No, I'd say it's more society. People demonize success, and that's just been something we
That's
were raised
true.
in. And that going back to the way I was raised is a lot of how other people were raised.
Some people. I'm sorry,
success
go
is
ahead.
demonized.
And what it is like, it's funny to me is like some people that say like, they see you all the time on social media. I'm like, why you see him all the time, right? And they're like, why? I'm like, because you stop and watch. So like,
I know we're running low on time.
If you weren't watching, you wouldn't see it. So
I know we're running low on time, but I gotta say this. So, and I said I wasn't gonna talk about other realtors, so I won't say anything. But there was a realtor who contacted my broker, which happens quite often, unfortunately. And my broker, literally the coolest dude on the planet. I mentioned Myers Realty. GR.
Dude, I freaking love GR. By the way.
GR 's
I
the
didn't get to
bomb.
say it because I
GR
didn't
's
want to
the
interrupt
bomb.
you. But
And
GR 's
another
great.
dude that's
Yeah.
hated
He'll be
on.
on the show eventually.
Another dude
too.
that's hated on.
Yeah.
He's hated on the same exact way.
GR is extremely humble
He's
as
a
well.
broker for Loft Realty now. I said, would you get a second license to be a broker of us too? And he is.
Yeah.
So people call him, and he has to call me. He has to let me know, hey, so and so
Sure.
said this. But I've had other brokers in the past that'll be like, hey, we got called about you not having a logo on a picture. Is this true? And like want to hold like a Q&A with me. And I'm like, I'm at a listing appointment. Can we talk later? Like, yeah,
Are you saying I got to put the logo on the picture from now on? Okay, cool, check. Like, come on, let's have the conversation to move on. But I get it.
Yeah, and like literally he'll just say, hey, blah, 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 your sign was out there. It didn't have sold when it was supposed to be sold 24 hours ago. Okay, cool, bye. Like literally like in little stuff that they're only calling on certain people for. Like certain people would never get that phone call. I know I get that phone call. It's
Bro,
okay.
you shook the game, man. You shook
Yeah,
the game
it's
because
a
you did
target.
stuff
But this one
differently.
guy, he called, and it was just funny to me. He called, and then eventually he talked with one of our agents, and he had this conversation with one of our agents, and he was like, I just don't get why he's putting out all this video stuff and how he thinks it's gonna work, and
Who does he think he
all
is?
and like oh, we've been so successful up here. I don't see how all this 2-minute Tuesdays and talking about credit scores and doing podcasts with people and then he was like and this is the part that got me, because he was like, and doing these podcasts and playing games with them while they're on there, and like as he was telling me the story of what happened, because I just love laughing at stuff like that, I was like, it's funny how he's talking about me playing games with my guests on podcasts, because that happens like 10 minutes into it. So I'm like, you memorized my show's name, you at least watched 10 minutes of the podcast, and then this guy called me.
So they want some signed Loft Realty
ended
merchandise. They sound like your biggest fans. Is what
He
it sounds
ended
like.
up calling me and was still the same. Just I admire him for his consistency, because still the same guy. Like, I don't get his word, blah blah blah. I was like, okay. He's like, you're all over Facebook, blah blah, doing this, that, and the third. By he's like talk ROI. I was honest with him. Like, yeah, we get about 65% of our sales from Facebook alone. We get a lot from Instagram too. I'd say probably about 80% of our conversions are social media based. And
I mean, we've not done it nearly as to scale as you guys have, but we've had tremendous success with social media.
you
And
guys
again,
are referred on everything. You're referred on things that aren't, like, they're looking for a good restaurant and they'll say Bobby Jones Lights Out Exteriors. I'm like, what? But yeah, you guys are referred on everything. It's beautiful. And that's just a testament to your relationships. But he was talking to me, and like I said, so you watch my stuff. And I just kind of said it, all right, and I just want to see his reaction. He's like, well, yeah, but it's not because I'm like, and he started stumbling, and I'm like, that's the reason I make videos, because it's informative and it gets people's attention.
Yeah. And like
Like-
you said another realtor went and got her real estate license.
Yeah, I
I
love
mean,
it.
that's the stuff that we're doing this for.
There's a
like-
realtor at EXP who hit me up. And here's the other thing. If there's anyone watching this, like, I will talk. I'm doing a class for realtors in Camden next week.
Yep.
Like I'm co-hosting. Like, would you say something? Like, I'll tell them everything I do.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing that comes down to it. I love growth.
Right.
There is enough growth for everybody.
Yep.
And here's the other thing. 95% of people love to listen. 5% love to take action. You got 20 people in the room. Cool. One of you are actually going to do half of this.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's the whole Tim Tebow thing. You're not going to see anyone work harder than I'm going to work. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to wake up early. I'm going to put in the extra hours. I'm going to push aside the extra vacation.
I've mentored roofers, other roofers,
And others have mentored
right in
you.
this area because
Yeah.
I'm like,
There's
and,
a gr-
and that's the truth. One of my biggest mentors in my life
Yeah.
is a competitor in this area, and I'm like, if that's the case, then who the hell am I not to pass on that information and not to pass on the things that I might be learning specifically that I can share with other people. So and you're right. Like the moment that you start to think that what you know is private to you
it's
and like
like-
you're going to keep it back, like then
it's
you're
some
not going to
secret.
learn either.
Yeah, and they try to monetize their secret, or there's some
Yeah.
guru or Matt. Like, okay, dude, like, you understand how the Instagram algorithm works. Good. I read an article, now I do too. Like, it's public information. You're just framing it. But like with like one girl, she's like, "Where did you get your videographer?" I'm like, "Oh, well, because first she wanted his contact information. I'm like, I'll tell you where I got him. Like,
Yeah.
he's mine. He's on our staff, but I will tell you how we got him. And I told her, I said, contact, if you're a realtor watching this, contact a local high school, ask for the video department, talk to the video course guy, see if you can get yourself a summer intern.
Yep.
You don't have to pay much. He's going to be coming on full time. He's going to make his money because he's proven himself.
Yeah.
But because he does a great job. But like,
Yep, that's the problem.
there is
Like,
no secret. Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's just about growth. It's about growth. It's about growth. It's about growth.
Yeah, and it's the other problem is, again, like she's fortunate that she even asked you where you got your videographer, because most people are like, oh, I should probably make videos, but I don't have a videographer, and then it stops right there.
Oh,
like
well,
ask the
okay.
daggone questions. Find somebody will. Hey, listen. So listen, I know we got. I want to get this wrapped up. So you just talked about the advice that you give on that particular situation. As much as I'd like to have you look into that camera and give a message to all the people that are counting you out and telling you can't do what you're doing, I'm not going to do that, because I feel like that'll be a little controversial. But
I wouldn't say any of that. It's okay. Keep hating. It's all good. I'm still wake up.
How about the people on the other side, and not just real estate, but like, the people that are on the other side of that camera watching this, that are thinking about taking that leap, that are thinking about draining their account to pay for the whatever that they need to get onto their business and start their business. What's your advice to them?
That is very case by case. And I'll admit I'm a little hypocritical when it comes to it too, because I listened to a podcast. Like I said, I was big on Tony Robbins, and I was driving up. I had my real estate license for a month and a half, had one deal under contract, nothing closed, no savings. It was only been 3 months since I even took the course, no savings, nothing to fall back on, and literally listened to a podcast about Conqueror Cortez talking about you need to burn the boat to take the island. Like if you have a boat to go home on, you're never going to conquer the island. And I'm 15 minutes from walking in the shift. I'm like, dang it, this is my boat. And I walk in and I just say, here's my belt, I'm leaving. Didn't tell my wife, didn't tell anybody. I just walked in and said, here. And they're like, you're putting in your 2 weeks? I'm like, no, I'm just leaving. They're like, this is a state job. We won't recommend you to anybody if you just walk out. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to need a resume anymore. I'm not positive, but I'm hoping.
Yeah.
If
that's the case, if that was the case, then the boat's not burned. The boat's just on a rope that you now got to pull closer to the island,
like that
right?
boat was burned. Like there was nothing going back. It was McDonald's or nothing at that point. And even they look at resumes these days. So yeah, it was just.
You could have came and sold roofs.
But that was before I'd proven anything.
Yeah, you wouldn't. I wouldn't.
You got fired from
a
state job.
Yeah.
Twice. But like. No, just be self-aware.
Yeah.
Look, there's so many people who go 40 years throughout their life and they've never asked themselves, what do I want to do? Like, when's the last time you've ever sat down in 5 minutes away from your phone in pure silence and thought to yourself, what makes me enjoy life? We do it as kids. We say, I want to be an astronaut. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be this. I want to be that. And then we grow up and we stop doing that.
100%.
Not to say we all need to be astronauts, because we don't. There's not enough room. And there's not enough funding. But what do you enjoy? What do you want to bring, like, in this life? Like, people think, oh, if I fail, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. You lost 3 months worth of pay. Guess what? You're going to be alive for about 386 more months. So you got time. You got the ability to test things, try things. If, like Gary says, if you're below 50, you're in your first half of life. Try things. You got halftime to game plan and try again. Like,
one of the most
Colonel
successful
Sanders,
people,
like 63, sold his recipe, got famous.
That's crazy.
Like,
so one of the most successful people I know in Dover, in this area, he didn't start his business until he was 47 years old.
It's insane.
And so, like, you got people that are like 25 and they're like, oh no, I can't.
No matter when you start, and you can attest to this too, no matter when you start and it starts going, you're only going to wish you started sooner.
Oh yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I think of, if I did not give 6 years to the U.S. military,
Yeah.
like what would I have done if I really went all in at 18?
Yeah. But again, going back to what you're talking about with the self-awareness thing, I think that's really huge. If you know you're not going to work your ass off.
Yeah.
Because this takes hard work.
I wasn't self-aware. And that was the thing. Like, people join the military, I wanted to travel. I didn't want to travel.
Right.
I wanted to help people, I wanted to grow. And I was like, oh, I could serve people in this. But, like, I never really looked at it.
Yeah. See, I'm thinking, like, when you're talking about burning that boat, I'm like, listen, if you have the self-awareness, right, and you know, okay, I want to do this business, but are you going to put the work in? Because it's going to take hard work.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not going to put that work in, don't light
do
that
it.
fire.
Don't
Don't
do it.
freaking burn that boat, because, like, it's not easy. This isn't easy. It's glorified. It's freaking, you've got examples of people who became overnight successes on some bizarre situation that's not going to happen for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to take hard work and you have to grind.
I love Big
if
Sean.
you're not going to grind, don't burn the boat.
I love Big Sean because they call him an overnight success. And if you actually look at his story, it is the farthest thing from an overnight success. Like, as he just popped up, like, oh yeah, Kanye just picked him up. Like, no, This man grinded, had one opportunity to freestyle on a radio show where Kanye was in the studio. Kanye was walking out, and so without permission to start freestyling, just started freestyling a cappella, and Kanye stopped and turned around and was like,
No way.
all right, we're going to talk a little bit more. Like, literally, and you can look at all these people that are overnight successes.
Yeah.
Like actors, everything like that. Like Will Smith, overnight success rapper. That man slept on his girlfriend's couch after he was a famous Grammy Award-winning rapper. Slept on his girlfriend's couch for a year, having to take the bus because he was broke, and signing autographs on the bus. Like signing autographs, like I have nothing, like, but I'm still like, and literally got told you need just to go to LA and start working. And once you start putting the work behind the community you built, it started doing something. Like if you're not looking to work, stay where you're going to be told what to do every day.
Yep.
But if you have something to give, some kind of value to give, a solution to a problem, whatever it is, just if the problem is your own enjoyment in life, solve it. If you don't enjoy your life, solve that problem because you have one. That's just the long and the short of it. If you're not happy, be happy.
Yep.
Like screw everything else.
Yeah, it starts with gratitude, and I think that that's the big issue too. Is like so many people are like stuck complaining. We're stuck complaining about all the things in the world. Like, what are you complaining about? Be grateful. We're so fortunate to have all of the opportunities that we have today, right? And to be living in the greatest time in all of human history to even do any of the things that we just discussed, right? Anything we just discussed. So why aren't you happy, right? Find that out and be happy because we are living in one of the greatest times in all of human history. Gratitude first. Like, we're so freaking lucky to be where we are, but don't like now, once you've got that established, don't bank on like luck, right? Like you just talked about, you're talking about Big Sean, like he didn't create, like he created his luck, right? It wasn't just he was lucky and Kanye happened to hear him. No, this dude busted his ass, got himself the opportunity in there, and then took that leap when Kanye was nearby to hear him rapping, right? It wasn't just some lucky moment.
Luck isn't, people view luck as something falling in your lap. Luck is, you're gonna get a situation if you constantly put it out and you're working and you're working and you're working, you're going to get your opportunity.
Yep.
Luck is about being prepared
That's
for that
right.
opportunity.
Dave Ramsey in the book, I think it's Entree Leadership, he talks about a moment when they were grinding and building their business that Oprah's group reached out to them and was like, hey, we want to interview on the show, right? Which is huge.
Yeah.
But the team started to talk about how lucky they were that Oprah had reached out to them. And so Dave sits down with his team and he's like, look, I need you to understand.
Come to Jesus meeting.
Like, understand she's reaching out to us because we worked our ass off and she sees a reason to reach out to us. We're lucky, but this isn't luck. Like, this is something we worked our ass off for.
I'd say luck to the side. Oprah's not calling my phone.
Right, exactly.
There ain't no luck
They
about
didn't
it.
dial my number by luck.
You gotta earn that phone call.
Yeah, like
or
she didn't-
Ellen or something like that. That's one. I have a book, and no one will see this book. It's literally got like 50 things on it.
It's your
They're just
book.
the nastiest, craziest, most audacious goals you could ever think of.
Yeah.
Like, and one of them is being on the Ellen Show for a video that I made.
Nice.
And I broke that goal when someone in my soccer league was on Ellen because of a video I made. It was the police officer who had danced and sang to like Taylor Swift.
Oh, yeah.
I knew him. His son played in the soccer league. And so when I saw it, I was like, I know you. And then I saw him the next week of the soccer league, and I was like, that's insane. Like, because we idolize these things. And I was like, this dude's just like here
Let
in
me
Dover.
touch your
Just
arm.
like,
Let me touch your arm.
this
You were
dude's
on the
just like-
Ellen Show.
This dude's just like here in Dover. And so I wrote it down. I'm like, so like, that's one of the things, like we think these things are so audacious and crazy. You just got to work.
Yep, that's right.
If you enjoy the work, it's easy.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get this wrapped up. I want to make sure, though, anybody on the other end of this camera can find you, follow you on the platforms we mentioned. So if you can, drop a couple of...
Yeah, where can't you? TikTok, Zachary Loft. I'm on Twitter a little bit. Don't follow me there. Instagram, Zachary.Foust.Loft. Facebook is Loft Realty DE. I'm sorry, on Facebook I don't have room for more friends. I think you can follow on Facebook,
Yeah, you
though, if
can,
you want to
yeah,
follow.
yeah,
So you
yeah.
can follow me on Facebook. That sounds weird. And then, of course, just reach out to me, 302-331-6200. Text me, FaceTime me, call me. Let's chat. Like, I put up my phone number on TikTok. It was the most insane day of my life, but I enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
So, my real phone number, too.
Yeah, I got a lot.
Yeah, and here's the thing: people will follow me on TikTok, and I have a direct link to my Instagram, which of course is a business Instagram, so it's got my phone number on it.
And I'll get calls sometimes. And I know when they're coming from, because if they're like from Nebraska or Great Britain, I'm like, okay, no one's buying a house from Great Britain.
Right.
And I'll answer, like, is this Zachary Foust? I'm like, yeah, what's up, man?
I had somebody reach out to me for a gutter quote from the UK. I'm like, I don't think we're talking about the same Dover.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah. There's a Milford, Connecticut I got confused with for once.
Yeah.
Like, you're in Milford, right? And they started talking neighborhoods. I'm like, where in the heck is your Milford? I'm like, I don't know anything you're talking about.
You start feeling like you don't even know your area. You didn't
That's
do your
exactly
job.
what I
Like,
thought. It was like the first year of the or like first few months being there. I'm like, man, I need to learn more. And like Connecticut, I'm like, oh no. But I got an agent for you.
So we'll make sure we get all those sites and everything like that up on the screen for everybody to follow you too.
Cool.
But man, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show.
Appreciate you having
and I want
me.
to thank you guys for tuning in to episode 5 of the Extra Mile podcast. Be sure to tune in next time when we release. We'll have some awesome guests coming following Mr. Foust as well.
Gotta
Bang,
follow
bang.
Mr. Brightside.
And so again, thank you guys, and thank you, Zach, for being on the show.
My pleasure, brother.
Yes, sir.